Yo, what is up everyone? Tachi here. So, you know what? Before I go into the actual main point of the video, let's take a look at the team that we're going to be fighting against today. You guys should more or less already be familiar with Choten's members, but this is going to be a pretty difficult match. I'm going to be honest. Everyone over here is like near max or max level. They have a lot of HP, a lot of people above 130, 140k. Very stacked average here, if you can take a look. Some of them are hiding. I think these bottom like 4 or so are hiding their true CPs, especially these two down here, but I'm not 100% sure. I only for some reason have screenshots of 1 through 12. But anyways, let's go back into the main point of the video. What should you guys prioritize in the actual Grand Colosseum shop? So obviously it's going to depend on what job you're playing and also what rank you happen to get. But I'm going to split it up between the various classes, and I'm going to split up DPS based on whether or not you are using spears, to be exact, right? Let's get DPS out of the way. If you are a DPS player with spears, or you plan on being a primarily spear player, you do want to get Alice Half Nightmare and her Arcana. That's going to cost you 125. Depending on how much you have left, obviously it depends on how many wins you had and what rank you are, you can either go for the sword, which will likely be a slot in, even though it's a neutral for Half Nightmares. So it is a plus 0%, and while hammers and bows on Alice Half Nightmare is negative 75%, so like straight up, don't put anything in your grid other than spears and swords. So you can grab the sword, it is DC 2 if I'm not mistaken, when it's evolved of course. Or an alternative would be to get another spear, and really this one just comes down to the fact that right now we don't have that many weapons. So you either can waste the leftover, which for me would be about 80 Grand Colosseum medals, so I have just barely enough to get the spear, or you could just save it. And obviously saving you would pretty much just be waiting for, I suppose you could be waiting for the spear version of the infinite evolving weapons, which is probably not going to be coming out anytime soon. I don't even think JP had it until like maybe a year or two in, so it's definitely not anytime soon. That's entirely on you, although keep in mind obviously with global being how expedited it is, it's entirely possible that we'll get it sooner than they did. Anyhow, on to physical DPS. Physical DPS, you guys pretty much just grab the Arm of Bondage. That's it really. That's all you need to do. Arm of Bondage and then just save. You could also, again, if you really want to, I really don't see a reason why, but you could technically grab one of the sword weapons in here, or even an axe. I think axes are probably better in the long term, but again, all of the weapons in this shop are pretty trash other than the infinite evolving ones. So anything you spend in them is really just like a very temporary measure that will help you like for now, right? So it's not a huge deal. Now let's move on to Cleric. Cleric should be pretty obvious. You guys really only want the weapon. And I suppose as well, on top of the staff, you could just grab the Alice Half Nightmare, the base one, without the Arcana, because you do get defense from the normal Alice Half Nightmare. And then obviously 11 and 12 don't really matter to you because you don't actually function on magic attack. Now obviously when it comes to sorcerers, ideally all you're going to be getting is Alice Half Nightmare and the Arcana, and that's just down for stats. And the other alternative would be just to save entirely and just don't get anything, right? Because there isn't any books or harps in here, so it's not like you can use it on anything else. So you might as well, if you want to actually spend it on something, you could get the 500 P defense and the 500 magic attack, which obviously will help you buff and debuff. But it's such a negligible amount of stats. If you are in a decently high rank guild, you're going to be able to get your Half Nightmare and the Arcana anyways, because it's only 125. So you should pretty much always have enough to get them. So it's not a huge deal. You really don't need to save that much, at least in my personal opinion. I don't see a reason why, when you'll always have enough to get the important stuff, right? The only time where it becomes a bit of an issue is when obviously you're in a situation like this, where you just barely have enough for the Half Nightmare and the Arcana, but you don't have enough for the main weapon. In this case, I don't have enough for the sword. I'm about maybe 6 or 7 off, so I can't get Half Nightmare, the Arcana, and the sword. So I'm gonna grab the spear instead, just to bolster my spears. I think that'll bring me up to 8. Anyways guys, that is the end of this video. Hopefully you guys found it informative. If you did, hit the like button. If you guys want to watch more future content, including that awfully hard battle that we're going to be doing later today, hit the subscribe button. Anyhow, I am out. Have a nice day.